Hi, welcome. This is John Bloom of Bloom Consulting, and this is part three of the Azure SQL database series. And the first series, we created an Azure database in SQL on the Azure site. And the second series, we connected to that database through SQL Server Management Studio, and we created some tables and uploaded some data. In this series, I'd like to show you the cool features in Power BI. Power BI is a desktop edition as well as the web. And the desktop is basically standalone application, and it has decoupled from the Excel plugins. However, they've retained all the functionality as far as Power Pivot, Power Query, Power Map, and Natural Query Language. In our case, I'd like to go ahead and connect to our SQL Azure database. So what we do is we click Get Data, click to our Azure database. What it'll do, it should prompt us for a name of a server. Well, we got to go find the server name, which should be around here somewhere. I think it's perhaps here. And I'll go ahead and click on the server name, and they have a copy function, and I'll go ahead and paste that. The database is optional, but we'll go ahead and provide that too, and I think it's called perhaps BC Azure Test. So I'll go ahead and type that. And now you have the option of writing a custom SQL statement, but we'll just go ahead and click OK. Now, typically, it'll prompt you for credentials, either Azure, either Active Directory or the database. In this instance, I've already connected to the Azure database using this program, although it was in a prior session and I closed out the Power BI, but it still retained the credentials. So somehow it must remember my credentials. Now here's the two tables that we created, and those reside in the Azure database. And what we do is we click on them and then click on this button down here called Edit. And what Edit does, it spawns this window and it allows you to view your data in a series of steps. So the first step is to grab the source, and the second step is navigation. So I say, I want to perhaps sort this product key, and I want to sort it descending. And then you'll notice it created this extra transformation. And you say, okay, there's a bunch of data here, but these 351 rows, I want to get rid of those because those aren't good numbers. So I'd like to go ahead and filter it. And I'd say, I want the product key to be less than 351. So those just removed, and that's called Extract, Transform, and Load, ETL. And if you notice, I didn't have to write any code, no SQL. What does that mean? Well, that means that your Power BI users and your power users and your marketing and your sales and your accounting, they do not necessarily have to write custom SQL, which could be complicated. They can just go in here and click, and it retains your end query here. And you say, okay, I'd like to view the source code. So I'm going to click on Advanced Editor. And guess what? It's got all this code here. Now, I've written one application. It must have been thousands of lines long, and it was totally customized, and it was joining and doing left-outer joins. It was pretty neat. But this is pretty simple, and this just gives you an idea of how it works. But you can change all this, and perhaps you could change this to 49, let's say, or 48, and then you say done. And then let's see. Okay, it got rid of another row, but it also created another filter. So there you go. So it's all customizable, and it's really cool. And this is called the M language, and it's really got a lot of potential. It's a great product because there's no SQL, and if you can transform and move data around without having to write code, that's definitely a game changer right there in the world of BI. So at this point, there's a bunch of other stuff you can do here. There's group by and split column and append and merge. So those are like unions and stuff like that. There's transformation functions. I don't think I've used the trigonometry one. I have used the rounding. There's a whole bunch of stuff. Statistics. There's your mins, average, max, and all that. I don't think I've used this one yet, the scientific. So that's that. And then split columns. You can basically, like here, for example, there's these tables that created, and you can drill through these and split them and a whole bunch of stuff. But at this point, I feel like we're ready to work with this data set, and I'll go ahead and save it and close. So what happens is it's going to apply those changes, it's going to pull the data from Azure SQL database, the two tables that we created with the 105 rows in the dim currency, and then a bunch of rows in the factory seller sales. And it's pulling the data to the Power BI site, Power BI desktop, and that's how it works. So now we have those two tables which are available. And if you're familiar with the data warehousing practice, There's always the dim tables and the fact tables, and the fact tables have these keys, and the keys are joined by this currency key. So that's how that works. And at this point, I think we're ready to start adding some fields. So let's go ahead and add the revision number, perhaps the sales amount, and then maybe let's say the currency, because we need to know what currency those are. Sure, why not? So then you can view the data in all sorts of varieties. Now here, for example, the revision number, that's not really meaningful, so I think we can kill that, and then perhaps maybe add another field. Let's see. Let's add the order number because it's pretty important. Well, in that case, it thinks it's a number, so it assigns it a dollar value. Now that's incorrect. So that's probably a bad example. But maybe the tax amount. We always need to know how much taxes we're paying. So that's a good one right there. So I think that's pretty good. And then what we can do, like I said, is visualize. If you're familiar with some of the other visualization products that are out there, this is definitely equivalent, if not better, perhaps in the functionality and usability, and that is a great product. So I really like it, and I definitely think this is the future for the BI going forward. Perhaps I think the traditional will still be around, and we'll probably still need to know that for enterprise apps, but for self-service and building models rather quickly, this is probably a good solution. There it is. And here you can see that we can join tables and do a whole bunch of stuff. Which is pretty nice. So we're back to our M code there. So that's how that works. And I say, okay, this is a great looking graph, and I think we should send this to people. So what we'll do is we're gonna save it first of all. So, but anyway, once it opens up here, we'll go ahead and save it. We'll do a save as, and now I think I've already got a report saved on my desktop, maybe. Yeah, right there, PBIX. So let's just go ahead and overwrite that one. And now we have saved a report. Well, that doesn't do much at this point, except what we can do is we can publish this so other people can view it. So there's one option to publish to the Pyramid server. Now that's an on-premise solution server. So that's on-premise, and I believe it works with mobile as well. So the other option is to publish to the Power BI site. In order to publish there, you have to have an account. In order to have an account, you have to have an email address with a proper domain, as in not .yahoo.com, .gmail.com, whatever. It has to be a legitimate business name. And once you sign up, you can get a free account, or you can get a membership account, which I believe is monthly. And then it says success. So we always like that. So we'll go ahead and click close. I believe we had the option of opening the web there. But in our case, I believe it's already here. And guess what? It already popped in there without having to do anything because I'm already logged on. So if we wanted to look at the query in the data, it's right here. And these are our fields. And if we want to look at our nice report here, which is tremendously informative, because that's a whole bunch of decimals there, that's really important. So this is good information. If you're looking for this information, there it is. So that's good. So now, I guess you can save a copy of this report. You can edit it and view it. So that's always fun. Another nice feature is this drop down here, where I can download the Power BI for mobile. Now, I got the Power BI desktop from this location. I also downloaded the Analysis Service Connector, where you can connect to your SSAS cubes, tabular. And then lastly, you have the Power BI Personal Gateway, which allows you to refresh periodic intervals. I think it's an hour. And it'll push the data from your on-premise or your Azure into the model, and it'll refresh it. And whoever's logged in and viewing the report, well, then they get to see the latest data. So that's actually pretty cool. And if you think about it, this data, although it was generated on-premise, it was uploaded to Azure, and from Azure to Power BI. Now, I could still have the code residing on-premise and have a push. So you could almost have like a three-way interaction there. But anyway, that's how it works, and I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more videos in the future. Thanks. Bye.